Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Rooftops of America live stream for um, November post Thanksgiving. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving holiday. Whether get your fill of turkey or your meal of choice and all that. So today's, I think to start this one off, I think when I scheduled this, I scheduled it in Nashville for 8, which meant 9, but I'm moving, which wouldn't have been 8 Eastern. But hopefully people will figure this out and they'll be able to jump on or they'll watch it when it's finished. Um, so I'm going to own that particular scheduling issue and go from there. Hey, Pretzel, I'm doing all right. What else do we got here? Bill, is that? Um, Hello, glad you're here too. Um, no, so Thanksgiving was good. Went down to Nashville, saw the in-laws, and came back. We were delayed, crazy delayed yesterday, and when we finally got back and settled, it was after time, which is why this got moved to today. Weather here is low 40s, chilly. I haven't really looked at the forecast further the week. I assume it's probably going to stay around this, if not get colder. I hope everybody else. I know there's storms starting to push through. My sister Summer got the best of it. She came down to Nashville from Wisconsin. She ended up driving through that, coming down and heading back. So, but yes, um, it has been an interesting month since the last time we spoke on Halloween. For starters, the furlough, my furlough ended, so I'm now back at work doing doing my VA job, and that's going well. And it's nice to have not be working on the emergency fund anymore and can restock that. Um, and yeah, so we got the holiday right around. Um, Parts of my house for the next several days include today, 26. Oh, nice. Um, that's good and chilly. On a side note, real quick, my beverage of choice for today's live stream is good old fashioned water. So I had enough had a good amount of beer over the holiday. So Bill no I'm just gonna say Bill, welcome aboard, and thanks for being here. So and yeah, so without further ado, the big news that I found out earlier today is looks like Michigan has a new old high point. Oh, okay. I'm tracking, Bill. Got it. Um, what do you think of them? I'll be honest, the ads are going to throw me. It's going to throw me because I was so used to the display names. So now I'm going to have to, unless I've seen it before, um, it's going to throw me for a loop. So I might be reintroducing myself to a whole bunch of people that are like, wait a second, I've been here for years. But I don't know if you've heard, I saw it posted by Eric Gilbertson on the High Pointers group chat on Facebook this morning. Was he just published his peer-reviewed paper for Michigan's new slash old high point. So, and he's no fly in the night guy. Eric's one of the best in the business when it comes to survey and things like that. So, if you haven't been to Mount Kerwood, you might need to make a trip back up to the UP because Mount Arvin is not the highest point. of Michigan. Its 43-year run has come to a close. It looks like it actually is Mount Kerwood. I don't know how that's going to proceed, when the state's going to do anything or stuff like that, but that's a pretty big development. Interestingly enough, I've wanted to get to Mount Kerwood all 3 times I've been to Mount Arvin, and I just never got to it. But that's okay because I got to go back regardless to refilm the Michigan episode now. So um, it will be it'll be interesting to go down that track and see what I can dig up for Mount Kerwood now. More to follow on that. Eric Gilbertson is, like I said, he's. Have you read any Gilbertson's inside Twins? That I believe it or not, I have not read. And also, welcome, Sam. Glad you're here. I have not read any of his books. I have read a lot of his notes. Archie Chesler, one of our colleagues here, introduced me to Eric's stuff a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. So I've been following him basically since then. I was really keen when he did the stuff. I know he's done stuff in Pennsylvania, and Mount Davis actually still is the actual high point. And then I also was reading up on his work in Nova Scotia when they recalculated that high point, and that provincial high point isn't White Hill, but God, I can't remember what it is. It's something else, and it's actually I think a little easier to gain it than White Hill is. So I don't know, Pretzel, you might have to go back because if Arvin's not state high point, you're gonna. So it's an interesting thing, and that's something that folks will have to make that determination of whether it's how they feel they want to approach that. Which got me to thinking over the last day of, what other ones are super close. Actually in that same ballpark, Wisconsin, with Timms Hill. There is a long running debate with the locals in Price County that Pearson, which is about a mile away from Timms Hill, is actually taller. That argument has been going on forever and a day. Western Barron, there it is, Sam. Thank you. Yep. So, I love going up to the UP. So, for me, it's always a joy to head on up there. More pasties, more giant cinnamon rolls, more time up in the Keweenaw Peninsula is always welcome for me. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and I'm just busting your chops a little bit, Pretzel. So don't take what I'm saying seriously. Um, I feel like you've heard me say from the beginning, high pointing is very much a subjective journey, and it's very much a personal thing. Like how you go about it really is, it's part of the reason I don't have any issues with folks that, hey, I drove all the way up to Mount Mitchell and walked that small bit. More power to you. So it'll just be interesting because I'm trying to think. We haven't had I'm trying to think what would have been the last high point. God, I wonder if it is Michigan. Now, there's a fact. There's something. There's a factoid to look into, Pretzel, that speaks to you. What was the last state high point that had it replaced? And I'm wondering if it was Michigan in 1982 when Kerwood was replaced by Arvin. Interestingly enough, as I was going through and reading Gilbertson's notes and things like that, the irony is they measured off the monument, they didn't measure off the ground. And the monument on Arvin is taller than the one on Kerwood, leading to a false measurement for the 1982 measurements. So, it got me to thinking too, like, what would I need to do on that particular reshoot? I think I'd keep a lot of it the same for Michigan. Definitely the stuff with the Lower Peninsula. I might actually refilm it to make it more recent than reusing the old footage. But I think the only thing I think I would like to add is to get some um, live footage or some drone footage of the tailings pile out near Tipton by Ishpeming. That giant, which is the tallest man-made structure in the state, all 2,000 some odd feet of it, which is a little bit ridiculous to think of that. But no, I would have to do some. I also realize I'd have to do a little digging into the Kerwood stuff, but I almost feel like the story for Michigan always was sort of the back and forth. I don't. There's another interesting fact too, is when you're looking at states, that what state has had the most high points, like has constantly been, and Michigan still has four. Like, yeah, what was it? Well, no, maybe five. Porcupine Mountains, but I want to say Government and Summit are in the Porkies. So Government Peak, Summit Peak, then Kerwood, and then Arvin, and then back to Kerwood. So it's a really interesting thing. But yeah. Yeah. So the one part of that trip I do plan on eventually redoing is Isle Royale National. You could consider, yeah, like I was saying, take the ferry out of Grand Marais, out of the Arrowhead. I don't know if you've done Minnesota pretzel, but it'd be almost more convenient to tie that high point in with um, a Minnesota trip than it would be with Michigan trip. Because I'll be honest, the ferry ride out of Copper Harbor or Houghton, that's a pretty long affair across the lake, and it puts you in Rock Harbor, which is further from that summit than going into to Wendigo. And the Grand Marais crossing is a lot faster. So, um, yeah, I mean, I would, if I was gonna, when I have wanted to go back to Iowa Royale for some time, um, because it's really cool. I would try not to do it in a day. I'd overnight on IR. Um, it's a beautiful place. It really is a really cool place, and it's worth at least a night or two on IR itself. Really cool place. I haven't, not granted, I haven't hiked on that for 25 years, but um, it is really cool. I remember both of my trips around that island quite fondly. So, um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and I'll be curious to. I'll be curious. I don't know if Gilbertson's done anything with Timms Hill and Pearson Hill yet, but it would not surprise me one bit if that he has, or if he tied it in with the Michigan trip, and that's to come further, because that would be fascinating to see if that gets upended after years and years and years. Uh, so that what's really interesting about that whole area, though, is in that little northern highlands section of Wisconsin, is how close in elevation a lot of those surrounding little hills around Timms Hill are. So it's one of these weird little things of like, you know, the highest points, they're all clustered. Um, Nicholas, hello. Glad you're here. Hope you're doing well. But no, so overall, it's looking like as we go into December, one of the things I was thinking about is, what I'd be curious to know what you guys got on your high pointing wish list for Christmas. What things gear wise or um, maybe trip wise that you're thinking of for the future. You can either throw it down and be like, I want this, and then in December, after Christmas, that weekend right after, we can pull the curtain back and be like, this is what I got, this is what I didn't, or this is my plans. So I'm for me, my big wish list, not necessarily for Christmas, but for next year, is to actually go out and bag a couple new high points. I really feel like, 2025 was a total bust. Everything went sideways. Ironically, though, I'm sort of glad it did because um, that meant when things did go really crazy on the 1st of October and we had the shutdown and I got furlough, that there was money in the emergency fund because I had basically taken everything that I was planning on using for high pointing and it was all sitting in there. So we were able to weather that storm pretty good. So silver lining, I guess. But next year I would like to get out and, you know, hike up Idaho, get Bora for sure. I sort of really want to go back and do Kansas again and get that refilmed. Now having get that refilmed. Now have an excuse to go back to Michigan and do that. So maybe work that in. Can tie that in with visiting my folks. It's been a while since I've been back to Wisconsin, so be good to. I should get up there and at least see them. And you know, there's also at some point I got to start coming to terms with Mount Hood and those other peaks out there. So start thinking that through. Um, so those are sort of the things that, yeah. As for gear, new socks are always welcome. You can't beat a couple good pairs of good hiking socks. I mean, it's the one thing I think I could safely put on my list every year. And it's funny, like, because when I was a kid and you get socks for Christmas and other things, like, you're just like, where now it's like, I got socks for Christmas and I'm super excited about it. So, um, if I can get a couple of good pairs of Darn Tough, because I like the Darn Tough socks, and if I can get a couple pairs of those, I'll be stoked. I'll be super excited. And, hopefully we'll be able to put them to some good use. So, yeah, that's probably the big thing I have on my list is new socks. So 18 miles round trip, as far as I know. Yeah, it's surprisingly, if you're taking, God, I can't think, Greenstone Ridge, if you're taking that trail, I remember that trail being super um, tame, I guess you'd say. It's not like Menong Ridge to the north, Greenstone going right through the center of the island. That's an easy hiking trail. It's nice. It's relatively broad. Um, it's well traveled. So you can make really good time on that trail. Plus, you're not dealing with any crazy elevation, so you don't have to really worry about like, oh, I'm going to blow up my lungs, stuff like that. Um, it's so if you're hustling, if you had a trail to hustle on, that would be the trail. If you had to cut across Manong, that's a slightly different. That's a slightly different beast. That one was always a lot tougher. Was going down Manong. So, and also the other thing that works in your advantage is if you were going to come from Rock Harbor and get up the Greenstone, that's you do have a bit more elevation to gain going up onto it proper. So, 1.4 miles. It's nothing like Marcy. Nothing like Marcy. I think you would be, if you should be able to put down at least 2 miles an hour at a minimum. And that's, so 18 miles round trip. I mean, I know 9 hours, give yourself this, you should be able to move a lot faster. I think if you were doing you'd still be going super slow at 2 miles an hour. So if you're hiking, if you're in decent condition, you're feeling good, you can just roll along on that trail. So, I mean, we were carrying packs with all our gear because we were out there for 2 weeks with one resupply. Okay, let me caveat this. We were out there for 2 weeks with a resupply, so we had 7 days. Would be the most stuff we were carrying for food and that. And even then, we were able to move really quickly on whatchamacallit, the Greenstone. So, yeah, you'll be. Don't. My advice to you, Pretzel, and keep in mind this knowledge is over 2 decades old. You should be, you know, give yourself enough time. If you just are going for that and you're really focused on just getting that, you can do it with a day pack. You don't need to carry all that extra stuff. Just carry plenty of water and snacks. If you do want to get water off the island, though, like if you're going to pull water from from something on the island, if you're going to filter, do bring a filter. You can't get by, if I remember correctly, all the internal bodies of water inside IR have tapeworm. So God, back in the day, we had a catadine that had a really ridiculously high filtration rate, like super fine micron, to make sure we filtered really good. The water off the big lake, of course, is fine. You can get by with iodine tablets, stuff like that. So, Ultra Star, glad you're here. Thanks for being here. Happy December ween indeed. So, hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Yeah, I like I mentioned at the top of it, I sort of screwed up the scheduling on this. When I scheduled it the other day, I was in Nashville, so I scheduled it for 8, not thinking that I should have scheduled it for 7 then, so it would be 8 because, hey, I'm now back in Philly. Um, I can't comment on that, Pretzel. You would know best because I would think a gallon would be okay, but I don't. It, you probably can make your calculation better at what you're drinking. Um, it's not going to be as hot or humid up there because you will have the you have the lake effect off of Superior, so that's automatically going to make things colder. Um, it is internal though, so the interior of the island is um, warmer than if you were hiking along the edge. Also, keep in mind that the summit is enclosed. There is no open summit on that, so it's a wooded summit. So you might be fine with a gallon. So, but I can't. I couldn't make a real call on that. Oh, just call me Michael. Nice. I was gonna say, just call me Michael if you're nasty. um, so it's yeah. Needless to say, um, you could probably make a really good. It is worth. If I was gonna do it these days, what I would like to do is I'd ferry over to Wendigo. I'd hike up Greenstone, then I would go down and do the Siskiwit Bay. Um, God, what is it? Feldman's Trail loop. There's a loop to the south, and there is a one of my all-time favorite beaches in the world is on that southern loop. Um, and it's this I want to say it's Rainbow Cove. Um, I think it is Feldman's Loop, but you basically would do a loop. You could do it. That would be a 2 day. You could do it 3 if you really wanted to. Um, so the that beach though, that Rainbow Cove beach is one of my all-time favorite beaches. It's not sand, but it has super fine, smooth pebbles, and it's just incredible. It is incredible. Um, all right. Would would be would what be a good time for Humphreys? Can't quite see. I see would M be a good time for Humphrey? Um, Depends. I think. Well, I know Humphreys right now got piled with snow. I know some folks have recently summited for their winter summit, and that there's heavy snowfall. Oh, right now. Got it. Sorry, I thought that was an M. My mistake. Um, if you wanted a snow climb right now on Humphreys, absolutely. Couldn't beat it better. This is your chance right now to get a good winter set on Humphreys Peak. So break out the crampons. I do know that there are some really recent trip reports of people that have done a few winter ascents within the last few days uh, that would give you the ideal conditions. So if that's what you were looking for, um, you would be. This is the time to do it. So I'm pretty sure the way it was looking is that the trail was fairly well trod. So, and then you could finish up and go skiing in the snow basin or the snow bowl there. I guess my question would be: have you been to any state geographical extremes like the north, south, east, west points of states? Actually, the only geographical thing other than the high points that I've been to is, well, I've done tri-points, where you go to the boundaries of so for where I'm living right now, one of the closest one would be the Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland tri-point, um, which is like out by White Creek Reserve. It's where the Mason-Dixon line starts, like out by White Creek Reserve. It's where the Mason-Dixon line starts to go west. Um, and it's also where Delaware's wedge area, that whole thing. There's a really fascinating history about that particular tri-point. And So I've done tri points. They're not really. I haven't been, but that's not quite what I think you're asking for. And then I've done the 4590 point near Poniatowski, Wisconsin, right south of Athens, there in Marathon County in Wisconsin. So that's the 45 degrees north, 90 degrees west. So you're halfway between the North Pole and the equator, and halfway between the prime meridian and the international dateline. There's 4 of those in the world, and the one in Wisconsin is the most easily accessible. Um, the only other land one is the one in China, which is a lot more of an intensive journey to get to. Uh, yeah, hardest try point I'd say on dry land would be. I think I would agree with you on that. I think I would. Yeah, that one is. I've looked at a few, um, and some of those ones out in the west can be are a bit of a no joke. So I want to say the Nevada, Oregon. Is it Nevada, Oregon, California, or I might be mistaken. There's another one out there too that's a bit of a beast to get to. Um, so the interesting thing about some of those tri points is some of them are privately owned. So it can be there's a whole nother challenge that can go into it, and I'm sure there are. I used to know who was. Um, there isn't as many resources, but I do know there are some active tri pointers. So that have written up reports and stuff like that. So it's an interesting quirk. Um, I think I would like to do some of the. Uh, also, I should say I've been to the Belforge. Well, hold on. Let me correct this. The Belforge in South Dakota, which is sort of like supposed to be the center point of the United States, if you include Alaska and Hawaii, and the whatchamacallit, except where they have the little city park where they have all the stuff, that's not the actual place. So we've been joined here by my girl who needs some attention because we've been gone forever. So she feels that she needs to be part of this. This is Shubbo. She's a very sweet girl, and she missed us. So, has anyone done low points? I've been to beaches in multiple states and then to Badwater Basin. Um, I have, much like you, Pretzel, been to a bunch of the beaches. Um, haven't really been to many dedicated low points yet. Um, and then she insists, Pretzel. She is a pushy girl. She knows what she wants. So, but no, there is two. I mean, I'm going to do Badwater Basin because I feel like I'm going to do all the rooftops of America. I should do the basement or the cellar of America if you want to go that route. But I'd also like to visit the low point in Colorado simply because it's the highest low point of all of them. So those are the two that that I want to get absolutely for sure. Yeah, state low points are though that's hilarious. Seriously, the low points. Um, yeah, mental and emotional. So good on you, Bill, for carrying the water as a teacher. It's a tough business. Um, but no, I have state low points don't intrigue me quite as much because they're more nebulous. They're more, like, oh, it's, the whole coastline of Florida is the state low point. Or, if there were more like um, Badwater Basin, I think that would be pretty cool. Um, I don't think you ever answered this. I mean, the list of the lowest county high point of each state, which is, didn't we say that it was like in Utah or Nevada? Yeah, just go to Puget Sound. Um, Speaking of which, my brother's stationed up at JBLM up there, and he's been having a great time enjoying his Washington experience. They went, what was it, razor clams? They just went digging for that. So the other day, um, it's been fun to listen to him talk about it. In fact, they just went looking for Christmas trees over near Mount Rainier. So I'm a little envious. So, all right, we are at 8. This one a lot quicker than I thought. We're already at 8:37. I am going to probably wrap this one up real quick. I really want to say thanks for everybody for jumping on. My apologies for having the time way off, but thank you for bearing with me. I will make sure that we are on time, on target for the one in December. It'll be the weekend after Christmas, so hold on, I can tell you exactly when it's going to be. We're planning on doing it on the 28th. So, December 28th, we'll pick this up again. Um, okay, how high do you think the highest and unnamed county high point is? Ooh, that's a good question. Um, huh, that's a good question. I'm going to go out on a limb. And, hmm, how high do you think the highest unnamed county high point is? The location for that one is wild. Okay. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if it was in Nevada or Utah, and it was also 8,000, 9,000 feet. I'd be really curious to know if there's any mountain in the US over 10,000 feet that's not, well, never mind. You just answered that. Wow. And maybe you haven't. I'd be curious to know if there's any mountain in the United States over 10,000 feet that's not named. And if there is, that might be the county high point. That's a good question. I'm gonna have to. I don't honestly have a clue on that one. Pretzel. Huh. That's more than I thought. I thought for sure. I wonder why. I wonder why they're not named. So hold on. Let me ask this question. There's 4 mountains above 10K that are unnamed, or there's 4 county high points. 12017 is the highest one. It's in Colorado. I'm not surprised about it being in Colorado. I'm surprised there's a peak that high. Wow. So now I'm really curious also, what is the highest unnamed peak in the United States? All right. We might have to table that one for December. Um, God, I feel like I should go back and do Colorado and include that little factoid in the episode because that's a really good little factoid. Wyoming, Idaho, and Utah have the other. Huh. That's good to know. Wow. I can't say I'm surprised. Interesting. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. So, as Nicholas already jumped on, have a Merry Christmas. Be safe through the holidays. And yeah, I will see you when I see you. So, like I said, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Be safe. Be smart. And if you go high pointing, I hope you're successful. So, all right. Cheers, everyone. I appreciate you all.